ground doesn't feel like earth anymore. It feels like something alive, something hungry that's trying to swallow us whole. You take a step, and the mud grabs your boot with a suction sound that echoes in your bones. You pull, and it pulls back harder. This isn't just a construction site, it's a wrestling match against the landscape itself. We started this morning with a plan. We had a list of tasks, a schedule, a timeline. But look at the sky. Look at the water pooling in the tracks of the excavator. Nature has a way of laughing at your schedules. The rain hasn't stopped for 3 days. It's not a storm, it's a siege. And yet, we are here. Because the wood won't stack itself, and the foundation won't dig itself. Most people see a cabin and think of a cozy fire, a warm cup of coffee, a weekend getaway. They don't see this. They don't see the violence of the build. They don't see the days where your hands are so cold they feel like foreign objects attached to your wrists. They don't see the moment you almost slip and crush your leg under a 1,000-pound log. This video isn't about the pretty finished product. This is about the fight. The first enemy is the water. You can't build a structure that lasts 100 years if it's sitting in a soup of clay and runoff. Water is patient. It finds every crack, every weakness. If we ignore it, if we just build on top of this mess, rot will set in before the roof is even on. So before we can build up, we have to dig down. We're digging trenches by hand. It seems primitive, doesn't it? In an age of hydraulics and diesel engines, here we are swinging shovels like it's the 19th century. But heavy machinery would just sink here. It would churn this site into a graveyard of metal and mud. So it comes down to muscle. Lifting a shovel of wet clay is a specific kind of misery. Dry dirt is light. Wet clay is heavy, dense, and sticky. It clings to the steel blade. You have to throw it, then shake the shovel, then scrape it against a rock just to clear it for the next scoop. Your lower back starts to scream after 10 minutes. Your forearms burn, but you find a rhythm. Scoop, lift, throw, scrape. It becomes hypnotic. There is a method to this madness. We are trying to guide the water. We are trying to convince gravity to take this slurry away from our foundation. Watch the flow. The moment you connect two puddles, the moment you break that little dam of earth, the water rushes. It's murky, brown, ugly water, but seeing it move away from your workspace is the most beautiful thing in the world right now. It's a small victory. And out here, you live for the small victories. We are preparing the site for the stone foundation. We aren't using concrete blocks or a poured slab. We are using natural stone. There is a logic to this beyond aesthetics. Concrete acts like a sponge. It wicks moisture from the ground up into the wood. Stone is dense. Stone is a barrier. It separates the timber from the rot. But working with stone in these conditions is treacherous. These rocks are slick with mud and rain. A rock that you could grip easily on a dry day becomes a bar of soap. And these aren't pebbles. These are 300, 400, 500 pounds. If one of these slips while you're setting it, it doesn't just bruise you. It breaks bone. It shatters toes. Every time we move a stone, it's a calculation. Where is the center of gravity? Is the mud underneath stable enough to hold it, or will it shift the moment we let go? We are using leverage, pry bars, and chains. It's physics in action. You learn to read the rock. You look for a flat face, a stable corner. You are trying to impose order on chaos. Look at the team. No one is talking. There's no energy for idle chatter. When you're this cold and this tired, you communicate in grunts and nods. You point, you anticipate. Trust becomes the most important tool on the site. I need to know that if I slip, the guy next to me has the grip strength to hold the weight for a split second so I can get clear. We are mixing mortar now to set the stones. This is another battle. Mixing cement when the sky is dumping water into your wheelbarrow is a nightmare. You're trying to get the consistency of peanut butter, but the rain keeps turning it into soup. You have to work fast. You have to cover the mix. You have to be smarter than the weather. The foundation is the most critical part. If this isn't level, if this isn't square, every single log we stack on top of it will be wrong. The error multiplies as you go up. An inch off at the bottom becomes a foot off at the roof. So we check the level, then we check it again. The rain drips off the brim of my hard hat onto the bubble level, obscuring the reading. I wipe it off with a muddy glove. It's a constant struggle for precision in an environment that wants to be messy. Now, look at the timber. These are the bones of the house. Massive raw logs. We harvested these ourselves. We peeled the bark. But handling them in the rain changes everything. Wet wood is heavy. The water soaks into the outer fibers, adding hundreds of pounds to the load. And it's slippery. The cambium layer, that slick skin under the bark, turns into ice when it's wet. You wrap a chain around it, and you pray the chain bites into the wood. You hook it to the lift, and you watch it rise, swaying in the wind. This is the moment of highest tension. A swinging log is a battering ram. If the wind catches it, if the strap breaks, if the crane shifts in the mud, the consequences are fatal. We guide it with ropes, keeping our distance. You never stand under the load. That's rule number 1. But out here, even the safe zone feels dangerous. We are using the scribe fit method. This is an ancient technique developed by people who lived in these forests long before power tools existed. We don't force the log to be straight. We don't mill it flat. We respect the shape of the tree. We take the top log, lay it over the bottom log, and we use a scribe tool to trace the contours of the bottom log onto the top one. It's like making a key for a lock. Every bump, every knot, every wave in the bottom log is transferred to the one above. Then we cut along that line. If we do it right, the 2 logs will mate perfectly. No gaps, no air, just wood on wood. Doing this fine detail work while shivering is a test of discipline. You're holding a chainsaw, a machine designed to tear and destroy, and you're trying to use it like a scalpel. You need a steady hand. You need to control your breathing. You have to ignore the water running down your back and focus entirely on the ink line. If you cut too deep, you ruin the log. There is no undo button here. You can't add wood back. If you make a mistake, that's a 100-year-old tree wasted. The pressure is immense. Listen to the sound of the saw. It's different in wet wood. It's deeper, more muffled. The wet sawdust doesn't fly. It clumps. It sticks to your face, your eyelashes, your beard. You are covered in a paste of pine and sweat. We roll the log over to cut the notch. This is the saddle notch. It cups the log below it. It needs to be tight, but not too tight. As the wood dries over the next few years, it will shrink. We have to calculate for that shrinkage. We are building for the future, predicting how this living material will behave 5 years from now. When we drop the log into place, that's the payoff. You watch it descend, you guide the corners, and then, thud, that sound. That deep, solid, dull thud of heavy timber locking together. It's better than music. It means you got it right. It means the wall is solid, but the weather refuses to let up. The trenches we dug this morning are filling up again. The mud is getting deeper. It's turning into a slurry that reaches halfway up our calves. Moving around the site is exhausting. Each step requires effort. Your legs feel like lead. We take a break, not because we want to, but because we have to. You see the steam rising off our bodies? That's the engine overheating. We huddle under a small overhang, drinking water, eating something quickly. Cold food, wet hands. Nobody complains. What's the point of complaining? The rain doesn't care. The logs don't care. We check the forecast. It's just more of the same. This is the mental game of extreme construction. It's easy to work hard when the sun is shining and the birds are singing. It's easy to be a builder when conditions are perfect. But character is built in the rain. Resilience is forged when you want to quit. When every instinct in your body is telling you to go home, and you pick up the chainsaw anyway. We are back at it. We're working on the floor joists now. We have to bridge the span over the foundation. These timbers need to be perfectly level. We are shimming them, adjusting them. It feels ridiculous to be so obsessed with being level when the world around us is sliding into the mud. But gravity is the one law we cannot break. If the floor isn't level, the walls won't be plumb. If the walls aren't plumb, the roof won't fit. I want you to look closely at the joinery here. No nails, no screws, just wood locking into wood. This structure isn't being held together by metal fasteners. It's being held together by geometry and gravity. The weight of the building is what makes it strong. The heavier it gets, the tighter the joints seal. It's a brilliant system, designed to withstand wind, snow, and time. But getting those joints to fit when the wood is swollen with rain is tricky. Wood expands when it's wet.
The misalignment is still quite...
We have to account for that. We have to scribe it slightly tighter, knowing that as it dries, it might open up or it might settle down. It's a guessing game based on experience. The light is starting to change. The gray sky is darkening to a bruised purple. Night is coming fast. In the winter, the days are short and we are racing the sun. Working in the dark on a site like this is dangerous. Shadows hide the tripping hazards. The mud freezes into jagged ruts that twist ankles. But we have one more course of logs to set. We can't leave the joinery exposed overnight. If the rain gets into the heart of the notch, it will swell unevenly and ruin the fit. We have to cap it, so we push. The fatigue is real now. You can see it in the way we move. We are slower. We are more deliberate. We double-check our footing before every lift. One mistake now, one lapse in concentration, and someone goes to the hospital. And the hospital is a long way from here. We are lifting the header log. This is the massive timber that spans the door opening. It's the heaviest piece we've moved all day. We hook up the chains. The crane engine strains. The log lifts, dripping water like a surfacing submarine. We guide it over the wall. Easy, steady. The wind is picking up, pushing the log, making it spin. We have to wrestle it. We use the peavey, that spiked tool for turning logs, to grab it and hold it steady. My muscles are shaking. It's not just the weight, it's the adrenaline. Down, I signal. Slow. The log settles. We grab the sledgehammers. We don't hit the wood directly, we'd crush the fibers. We use a block of wood as a buffer. Whack, whack. We drive it down onto the pins. We force it to seat. And then, silence. It's down. It's set. We step back. We wipe the rain and the sweat out of our eyes. We look at what we've done. It doesn't look like a magazine cover. It's covered in mud. It's stained with wet clay. It looks rough. It looks raw. But it is standing. It is straight. It is level. In a world that is increasingly soft, where we spend our lives in climate-controlled boxes, staring at screens, there is something deeply primal about this. There is something essential about building shelter with your own hands against the will of the elements. It strips away the unnecessary parts of your personality. The ego disappears. The vanity disappears. All that is left is the work. All that is left is the will to keep going. We start to pack up the tools. The saws, the chisels, the axes. They are caked in mud, just like us. We will have to clean them tonight. We will have to oil the metal to keep the rust away, sharpen the chains, dry out the gloves. Because we have to do this all over again tomorrow. The forecast for tomorrow is the same. Rain, cold, mud. Some people might ask, why not wait? Why not wait for summer? Because the season is short. Because if we wait for perfect conditions, we will never build anything. Because there is a satisfaction in the struggle that comfort can never give you. When this cabin is finished, when there is a fire in the stove and the roof is keeping the rain out, we will remember these days. We will look at these walls and we won't just see wood. We will see the rain. We will see the mud. We will see the effort. The cabin will mean more because it was hard. As we walk off the site, trudging through the same mud that tried to stop us this morning, I feel a strange sense of peace. My body is broken, but my mind is clear. We fought the earth today, and we didn't lose. We didn't win. Nature always wins in the end. But we didn't lose. We held our ground. We added another layer. If you are watching this from a warm room, sitting in a dry chair, take a second to look at the ceiling above you. Appreciate that roof. Someone, somewhere, fought the weather to put it there. Someone dealt with the mud and the cold so you could be comfortable. Building isn't just about assembling materials. It's about endurance. It's about showing up when you don't want to. It's about refusing to let the environment dictate your progress. There is a lesson in the mud. It teaches you patience. It teaches you humility. It teaches you that the only way out is through. You can't skip the hard part. You have to walk through the slurry. You have to lift the heavy wet log. You have to embrace the suck. Tomorrow the walls will go higher. Tomorrow we will start to see the shape of the roof. Tomorrow we will be one step closer to dry ground. If you enjoyed watching this struggle, if you find some value in seeing the reality of construction in extreme conditions, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It helps us justify the days spent soaking wet in the freezing rain. It tells us that there are people out there who still value hard work and grit. And if you want to see if we actually get a roof on this place before the whole valley floods, before winter truly sets in and freezes this mud solid, make sure you subscribe. We have a long way to go. The weather isn't letting up. The days are getting shorter. The work is getting harder. But we aren't stopping. We are builders. This is what we do. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the mud tomorrow. Pause for visual transition of the site fading into darkness. You know, there's a specific smell to wet pine and diesel that sticks with you. Even after you shower, after you scrub the dirt out of your pores, that smell lingers. It's the scent of the job. I remember when we first scouted this location. It was summer. The ground was dry. The birds were singing. The creek was a gentle little stream. We thought, this is paradise. We thought, this will be an easy build. That's the trap. The land seduces you. It shows you its best face. But you don't really know a piece of land until you see it in its worst mood. And right now, this valley is in a bad mood. The creek has turned into a torrent. You can hear it roaring in the background, a constant low-frequency rumble that competes with the sound of our tools. It's eroding the bank, inching closer to our access road. That's another problem for another day. Right now, the focus is the walls. Let's talk about the chinking for a moment. That's the material we put between the logs later. In the old days, they used moss, mud, whatever they could find. Today, we have synthetic chinking that expands and contracts with the wood. But even the best modern materials rely on the old skills. The gap has to be consistent. If our scribing is bad, the chinking will fail. If the chinking fails, the cold gets in. Every cut we make today is a promise to the future occupants of this cabin. We are promising them warmth. We are promising them safety. It's a heavy responsibility. When you're freezing cold, it's tempting to say, that's good enough. It's tempting to leave a gap, to rush a cut. But you can't. You have to be your own quality control. You have to have the integrity to say, no, that's not right, and do it again, even when your hands are shaking. That's the difference between a shack and a home. I'm looking at the corner joints again. They call this a lock notch for a reason. It locks the structure together. The weight of the log above wedges into the log below. It makes the corner rigid. In a high wind or even an earthquake, these joints hold. The house moves as a single unit. It dances with the ground instead of breaking. It's engineering that predates calculators. It's intuitive engineering. And seeing it come together, seeing the geometry emerge from the rough timber, is deeply satisfying. We are sorting the logs for tomorrow. We try to stage them so we don't have to drag them through the deepest mud. Strategy is everything. You have to think 3 steps ahead. If I put this log here, will it block the path for the next one? Is this the right diameter for the next course? It's a giant 3D puzzle, and the pieces weigh 1,000 pounds each, and the pieces are wet, and the puzzle board is a swamp. But look at that texture. The grain of the wood, darkened by the rain. It's beautiful in a rugged way. Once this dries out, once it's sanded and stained, it will glow. The amber of the pine will come through. But for now, it's dark and formidable. We are covering the tops of the walls with plywood strips. It's a futile attempt to keep the rain out of the joinery for the night. The wind will probably blow them off. The rain will find a way in. But we do it anyway. It's a gesture of care. It shows we haven't given up. The final cleanup of the day is the hardest part. Your body has cooled down. The adrenaline has worn off. The aches settle in. Picking up a shovel feels like picking up a car, but you have to leave the site clean. A messy site is a dangerous site. We scrape the mud off the scaffolding. We stack the offcuts. We organize the chaos. As the light finally dies completely and we switch on the headlamps, the site takes on a spooky quality. The rain looks like sparks flying in the beam of the light. The unfinished walls cast long, distorted shadows. It feels like we are on another planet, a wet, cold, hostile planet. But then I look at the foundation stones. They haven't moved. They are sitting exactly where we placed them, sunk deep into the earth, bearing the weight of the logs without complaint. They are the anchor. And I realize that we are the anchor too. The team. We showed up. We did the work. We didn't let the weather win. There's a brotherhood that forms in conditions like this. You don't need to talk about it. You just know. You know that the guy next to you is hurting just as much as you are, and he's still swinging the hammer. That shared suffering builds a bond stronger than the mortar we're mixing. So, we'll go home. We'll dry out. We'll eat. We'll sleep. And tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and we hear the rain still drumming on the roof, we'll groan. We'll curse. But we'll put our boots back on. We'll come back, because the cabin isn't finished, and the weather refuses to stop. So neither can we. Until next time, stay dry.